until after Simchas Torah, Tovshin Lamed Aleph, the Rebbe would eat the Yontiv meals on the second floor, 770, in the apartment of the Frierdiker Rebbe. And the Seder was that the Rebbe ate there together with a minyan of Chassidim, Elter Chassidim. And the Seder also was that during the meal, sometimes some of the people would ask the Rebbe questions and the Rebbe would answer. It used to be Rashag a lot of times, or Shmuel Levitin, or others would ask the Rebbe questions and the Rebbe would answer. Now the Bochrim used this opportunity to get answers to questions that they had. So they would sometimes walk over to Rashag, tell him a question, and Rashag would ask that question by the Rebbe during the meal. So in the year Tovshin Chav Gimel, the Likud that came out, the Mugadik Sicha that came out for Shavuos, now it wasn't called the Likud Sichas then, it was called Teichen Inyonim B'dach Lachser Botik Nesiyas. It's known as the Teichen Inyonim. So the Teichen Inyonim that came out, that Rebbe was Magiya for Shavuos that year, Tovshin Chav Gimel, was a Sicha about the fact that the Baal Shem Tov was Mechavev, had a special connection to the second day of Shavuos. And the Rebbe explains in the Sicha why, what the connection is second day of Shavuos. Even though the Baal Shem Tov's Yortzeit is on the first day of Shavuos, nevertheless he had a special connection to the second day of Shavuos. Now, some of the Bochrim thought that maybe this is the reason why in Chitas, the Frierdiker Rebbe set up Chitas. So in the Chelik of Chitas in Tanya, for the second day of Shavuos, the Baal Shem Tov is mentioned. Which l'chura would have made sense to set it up in such a way that on the first day of Shavuos, his name should be mentioned because that's his Yortzeit. But according to this Sikha that the Rebbe explains the special chvivas that Baal Shem Tov had to the second day, it makes sense why you put it in. But we were not sure that that's the real reason. So one of the Bochrim came over to Rashag and asked him to ask the Rebbe. This is what he told him. Ask the Rebbe, why is it that in Chitas, the Frierdiker Rebbe put the way it's set up, that the name of Baal Shem Tov should be mentioned in the second day of Shavuos rather than in the first day of Shavuos, which is Yortzeit. During the meal of Shavuos, Rashag asked the Rebbe. And the Rebbe was very surprised at such a question, and he said, didn't the Sikha come out for Shavuos, Inyan Abir, in the Chavivas that the Baal Shem Tov had Bedafke to the second day Shavuos? And that's the reason why in Chitas, the Baal Shem Tov is mentioned in the second day of Shavuos. So, after Yontef, so one of the people that was involved in writing the Sikha wrote to the Rebbe that based on what the Rebbe said by the meal, can we add a ha'orah to the Sikha as a hisofer? To add that based on what the Rebbe says here, that the Baal Shem Tov loved the second day Shavuos, this is the reason why it's put into Chitas. And the Rebbe agreed and he was Magiya that ha'orah. And that's why in Likutei Sichas Chelik Dalet, page 1027, there's ha'orah 16 star, and there it says, Ulai zehu mehataimim shekova kveit kedushas meiri v'chomi admur liyem zeh shir hatanya beyu pirish Baal Shem Tov zal chulu. That maybe this is one of the reasons why the Frierdiker Rebbe, the Rebbe writes, my father-in-law, put in the Shir Tanya of that day, of the second day of Shavuos, Pirish Baal Shem Tov zal. Why? Because the Baal Shem Tov had a special chvivus to the second day. And it's ha'orah 16 star, because this was ha'orah that was added later, so they didn't change the numbers, so it became a 16 star. But this ha'orah came as a result of what the Rebbe explained by the meal, by the Sudas Yontif of Shavuos, Tovshin Chav Gimel.